Okay, so you got your trigger elastic, which you want to make sure that when you have it tied, when it's tied and folded in half like this and kind of held slightly, just, you don't want to stretch it, you just kind of hold it so that it's just taut, like there's not slack. But don't stretch it. You want it to be about 45 millimeters when it's tied, and fold it, when it's tied, so the loop needs to be about 45 millimeters long. And take it, and just like a hair tie, so you're gonna wrap it around twice, that way it's doubled up. And take your Allen key that you've been using to assemble the rest of the blaster up to this point. Go ahead and stick it to the loop up where the knot is. Actually, it really isn't gonna matter here. So then you're gonna take it, and you're gonna just stretch it a little bit just to make sure that it's easy to then take a nice good grip on it. And you're gonna take your trigger and take the back of this and put this around the tab like that. And then, then go ahead and pull it. And if you have your Allen key in here like I do, just flip it around, back in there, flip it around, go ahead and pull it tight like that. And you can use the front of the trigger to hold it. It's not going to slip off because it's at a nice little slight angle. Then see the little tab in there? You want to make sure that the Allen key is on the front edge of that tab. Put it in there. You can pull the trigger back just to make sure it's in there. Make sure it's good and tight. You just slip the Allen key out and you're good to go. So then just to make at this point, if you hold it and let it go like that, it's gonna fall out. So at this point, probably go ahead and put the grip on there and put all the nuts and bolts and everything in there. But that's how you do the trigger elastic bit. Okay, so for the thumbhole stock, if you find that it's a little loose for you, what you can do is take just a little piece of like craft foam, cut it so it's like no more than 10 millimeters wide or so. That's a little too long. Kind of nice little short bit here, because you basically just need a little bit of padding potentially, and that's really dependent on your printer, on your print, things, depending on all sorts of factors. But you want to take it and you just take that little bit, and this would be much better if I had done this more than 0 times already. Take it and just kind of get it so it's up there in that front little curve bit. And you could glue it in if you really wanted to. I don't think you need to. Just kind of have it in there so that way when you put it in to the other piece, that'll just provide, it'll compress a bit, it'll provide a little bit of tension there. Note, it's not really needed. This is just me being really, really perfectionist on the fit for my personal one here. The first prototype had no issues. This one seemed to, I don't know if I just had some changes in the filament, and it moves like less than like 0.5 millimeter or so. So it really doesn't move. It's just, if you want a little bit tighter fit, you can put that in there. So gonna actually record tearing down the breech because I need to get in there to measure the elastic, and it'll function just as well for you just assemble it in reverse effectively. So first things first is gonna go ahead and take out these the bolts on either side of the breech for the cover plates. I guess I can put that there. That's safe. You can see there's some nuts that you press in there to hold them in. No glue, just press. Those are like the 8mm ones. Then we're going to go ahead and take the bracket off the top, take the bolt off the rear of the Picatinny. This bolt should be another 8mm M3. That's how it is, just okay, well, it's just being annoying, so we're just going to leave it in there for right now because we're going to take the other bolt out. That is 12mm. I guess I technically don't have to take this one off, but kind of do now. Okay, good. Okay, I got 10mm up here and 8mm back here. Set the Picatinny off to the side. At this point, we can just slide off the back here. Might be a little stiff to get off first. Slide off that whole back assembly like that. At this point, we can go ahead and take off the cam tracks. Don't need those. So these flat plates here, they press into the holes in this one. This one's a little loose, but it really doesn't matter if they're loose. They don't have to be like friction fit because of how everything gets held together. So go ahead and set that off to the sides. Now we have the breech. This piece is stuck there for now. As you can see, the gray pieces get clipped into this red piece before you put them on. So, and there's a little nut that you got to press in there. Okay. But the big thing here right now is I came to get the elastic. So yeah, let's go ahead and take that. It's just going to be a little annoying because it's nice and in there. So if it's not coming all the way out because it's, because your tolerances are nice and tight, which is a good thing, then you just take like another bolt and you can screw it. Once this is loose, just screw in another bolt or take a piece of wire or something, just push it out. Set that there. So at this point, we can pull off the front bit. Set this here. So I need to measure the elastic, so I gotta take it off. This is useful for also then figuring out how to put it back on. So to take it off, we're just gonna pull it forward here. We're gonna take, and each side is gonna kind of just peel off like that. So you can see here, the way that it's on there, you take, well, I'm gonna need like an Allen key or something here to get it off because, it's designed not to come off, so peel off the bottom there. So the way it goes on is it kind of loops like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna measure this and I'll be back in a second. Hi, we're back. So what you want to do then is you want to cut yourself off a piece of like 650 millimeters of the 1mm elastic just to give yourself some space to tie, because when you tie this loop and you hold it, snug, again, snug, not stretched, snug, like just before it starts to stretch, you want it to be somewhat, when tied, you want this loop to be somewhere between 290 and 300 millimeters long, so between 29 and 30 centimeters long. 290 millimeters is the shortest you can make this loop and have it still catch reliably when putting the shells in. Any shorter than that, it's probably not going to catch. You go too much longer than 300 millimeters, then it's not going to eject as forcefully. And it's called the Yeethammer, not the Floop hammer. So, okay. So anyway, that all said, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and, like we did before, you want to go ahead and twist it and double it up. So you want to have it all so it's nice and doubled up, because we're going to effectively double it up again. So you could possibly use 2mm stuff for it, but I wouldn't recommend it. This is just easier. How the tail on the tie isn't a big issue. It can still be fairly long and still be fine. So, but you do want it about the middle. So you're going to take that, put that about the middle, and take it, put it in here, like so. Get it in there. Same with the other side. Doesn't have to be tight right now. Just so it's in there like that. Alright, now, two things here. One, gonna want to make sure that you have something in the other side. So like if you have a crochet hook or something, or crochet hook, you could use the Allen key again, but you want something here just to kind of hold one side while you pull on the other side, because you're going to be pulling on both sides here. So just kind of slip a finger through there like that just to hold it. The key thing here is I think I'll focus on. So this notch needs to be on this side, and it needs to be close to this. So it needs to go like that. That's where it needs to be. All right, so I'm gonna take this. We're gonna take it. This is really hard to do while like filming and stuff. And you're gonna take it and you're gonna slide it into that notch just like that. Okay, now you have no idea how hard this is to do while filming shit. Okay, we're just gonna do it this way then, I guess. Filming this, it's really difficult to do because I'm trying to keep everything in frame. Stop it. Okay, nice and tight. Filming it, holding it. So we get it pulled in there like that. I got a finger on there to keep it from going out. 2 fingers in there. So because then, this is easier if I can go faster, but take it like that. So it goes around the bottom of the tabs there, and it stays. And voila. Go ahead and pull that tight. Take up most of it, because you don't want a ton of slack in these parts, because then you lose slack that you can use for the ejector. So we have one side done. It means we can go ahead and take the other side. Slip a finger through there just because it's easier that way. Get the crochet hook out, or Allen key, or whatever you're using. And if these slip out the top, it's really not a huge deal right now, because you can get them pressed back in, and then the top of the covers are gonna cover those up quite nicely. All right, okay. And you gotta take it, get it down in that slot again, pull it out so you can actually get into it. Go ahead and get 2 fingers in just to make it easier on yourself. Get it held around the back like that. And then make sure you pull it tight, and bada bing, bada boom. You now have the ejector. 1 second, I'm gonna grab a shell just to make sure that everything is the proper length. Okay, half shell will travel. Take the shell, just go ahead and push it in there. Now make sure that the shell goes a good way into the breech. As long as you can get it a good way into the breech, it'll be good. It needs to go like at least halfway into the breech or so. Again, you don't want it going all the way through because then it's too loose. And if it doesn't go in enough, then you've got it too tight and you need to redo your elastic and whatnot. So I said 290 millimeters is about the shortest you can make that loop. 300 millimeters is probably ideal. So yeah, so okay, we got the elastic here. And so you do the elastic for that. So I guess I need to tear down the rest of the breech. After I find my Allen key, there we go. Other side. Oh yeah, so now that this is off, you can slide this whole assembly off. You can see those gray pieces get pressed into that first, and then sliding on, you may need to like kind of, depending on fit, you may need to kind of put it on at an angle and get those tabs started on there. The other thing you can see is the PTFE tubing. This stuff is optional. You don't have to. I definitely very much so recommend it. And I also recommend that when you're installing it, you don't pre-cut the tubes. You need, what, total, they're each like 79 millimeters long, so you need at least like 320 millimeters, so 32 centimeters of PTFE Bowden tubing, is stuff that you're using for your 3D printer. And if you bought a hardware kit from somewhere, I don't know where, then why am I talking about this? This is just for the beta folks right now. You know, it's just the PTFE tubing. You've probably got some. I hope you have some. But you just take the whole length, clip it in. You know, you get it. You push it all the way to the bottom, and you clip it in, so you can just push it in. You don't have to try to slide it in all the way because that's a long way to slide in. And you clip it in, and then take your X-Acto knife and cut it off so it's nice and flush with that. Okay, so get this open because the next thing we're doing is the other elastic. Admittedly, the other elastic is probably easier to do before you put this thing on. Just less stuff in the way, less weight. But yeah, so I'll get this thing taken off. My voice is like really weird today because humidity is being all over the place. And I've been drinking green tea all day instead of just water, and so now my throat is really dry, so my voice is like, I just smoked 8 packs of cigarettes. I didn't, I just very dry throat. Okay, so there's some tricks with this. So as you can see, these kind of overlap there. Which is nice. So it has to be at an angle to pull these off. Pull that off, and as you can see, there's a pin in there, which I guess, yeah, we can pull that out nice and easy. They're not in there super tight, depending. You can see there's a little bit of elastic. Go ahead and take the other side off, because now at this point you can just pull this out. So you got that pin going through there. You want to make sure that when you put this pin in, that it's flush with these. You just kind of fiddle it around until it's flush. If needed, like if it's a little feeling like a little loose or whatnot, often with print settings you can just grab onto there with a piece of pliers, and once you have it in a position you like, just grab a pair of pliers on there and just give it a little twist till it kind of clicks in place. But yeah, so I got that. So we'll go ahead and take the other side off. I pulled out the pin too, that's fine. So these pins are what the elastic goes around. And yeah, so again, I'm going to go and measure this elastic and then I'll be back. Okay, so I measured those, but I realized that can't actually go and reassemble that bit because we have one more piece of elastic here. So for this piece, want to go ahead and, this pen's going to be a fun one to get out. This is the elastic that's being used for the sear for the ejector. I'm not going to be able to get this out with just this. This could be interesting. Try these. Come on. Because this is a lot easier to assemble it with the, I need a pair of needle nose pliers. It's a lot easier if you put the elastic on first and then put the sear in. So 1 second, need more tools. Okay, more tools have been acquired, namely needle nose pliers to get this thing out. Because it does kind of press fit in there. That's the whole point. You don't want this pin coming out easy. I mean, if you're worried, I guess you could like drop some Loctite in there or something. Take the sear. And yeah, so now we're gonna get that elastic out. Take our, a little bit trickier to get it out than it is to get it in. We're gonna take, there we go. Take our little Allen wrench. Ta-da. Alright, so yeah, I'll be right back as I measure this thing. Alright, so this one you're going to want to cut to like, I don't know, like 90 millimeters or so. Again, to make it easier on yourself to tie it. And then you want to tie it, so again, so when it's snug like this, like not stretched, just snug, that it's somewhere between like 30 to 35 millimeters. You don't want to go any, really don't want to go any longer than 35 millimeters. That's probably going to be too loose. 30 is probably going to be okay. This one's about 35, so, and it works fine. So yeah, so then you're going to take your elastic. You're going to see two sets of holes here, and you want the hole that's closest to the back here, that's closest to those little tabs. You're going to go ahead and push through one, and then it's probably easiest if I take and let's go ahead and grab it there. Some pliers or something, you just thread it through both of them. Right hole, yes. Just need it going through that hole. Okay, it's a little tricky sometimes. If you have a piece of music wire, I recommend taking one of the thinner pieces and making it into a little shepherd's crook thing there to grab on and be able to thread. That makes assembly of a lot of this a lot easier because then you can just thread the whole thing through. I'm not going to use that right now because I need to be able to confirm that people who don't do that are able to do it. So if you have a smaller Allen wrench, smaller than the pin, is it smaller than the pin? Yes. So like a 2 millimeter Allen wrench? Yeah, 2 millimeters works. Cool. So we have our oh, come on, you just went in. It's because I'm using my left hand and I am right-handed. Whether or not I edit this all in post is really kind of up in the air. Come on. You went in the first time. There you go. Get in the hole. It was made for you. Okay, so we're going to take our Allen wrench there and maybe actually use the short side. That would maybe make the most sense. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Pull it back out. Grab it so you got both sides. Now you're going to want to hold on to one of these sides real nice and tight. Take the other side and loop it around the top. And we're going to take our little Allen wrench of using tools for things they were never intended to do, but I figured you have to have Allen wrenches. The 2mm is, you know, potentially a stretch. M3's use 2.5. No, don't go back through the hole. That one was not made for you. Okay. On the Allen wrench. There we go. And the only thing is you maybe want to make sure that the knot is on the other side, just so it doesn't push onto things. Kind of rotate it around so that way it's not on the bottom. You basically just don't want it on the bottom. So yeah, so then you got your elastic in there. So at that point you're going to take this, your sear, and make sure the elephant trunk. I guess the elephant ear. I don't know. I could go either way. You want the little hook to go around the elastic. We'll put it that way. Hook to go around the elastic and the actual sear bit to go up front. And you just kind of line it up and you make sure that you can see daylight through there. And take your pin, push it in. You might have to wiggle things around a bit. There you go. Kind of get pushed in there. There you go. There you have the sear. Okay. Now to do the other part live. So you want to take these pins, the 21.5mm ones, you know, push them into either hole. Just like that. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to take the elastic that I set aside. So these, did I measure these out too? So, so this one that goes around for tensioning the breech. So it's the one for tensioning. It needs to be when it's tied, and again, same deal, snug. When you hold it snug and you have it tied, the loop needs to be about 60mm long. So probably cut it to 150mm. You only need, you're not doubling out, you only really need one, but it is kind of loose with just one. So if you really want, if you feel like, oh, it's still moving around too much for me, just cut another one. And so I'm going to try it out with two. I haven't tried it out with two. You gotta take them. You gotta take your, I don't know how well it'll thread with two. We're about to find out. So take them. See this hole, they're going to go through that hole. It's the hole you want them to thread through. Should be able to just kind of get them going, get them pushed in, get them out the other side. Cool. I'm going to take our handy dandy little, I'm going to get the other Allen wrench, maybe. I'm about to be so mad at myself. There it is. Take it and just, you know, get it in there so it's held while we deal with the other side here. So actually, probably around that hand, because then what we're going to do is take the breech. You can see, take these loops, and just kind of get them around that, get them both around that pin right there. Helps then at that point. Just get all the way. Oh well, I mean it would help if I held it more like that, wouldn't it? Okay, both on there. Maybe push them down in for a little bit of good measure. Yeah, stay there. And since you have the Allen key on the back, you can, if you don't twist out like I just did, take and pull a little tight, and actually, so the hook's going the other way. Easier to do it that way. You just want to slip them on around like that. Hey. So at this point, like, they're not, like, they don't really do much here. Like, they should be pulled a little tight. But at this point, just to make sure, you know, hold it, maybe put a finger around each, and then you just kind of want to rotate it and make sure that it can rotate up nice and good. As long as it can do that, then what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these. Remember how before, keep your finger on the elastic on the other side, and that'll make this a lot easier, because you're going to take it, get it in there so it's on there, and then you're going to fuck up. And you're going to cry a little bit because, well, that was just a whole ordeal, wasn't it? I guess I could cut this out in post, but, you know, that'll make too much sense if I do that. You should know how, I mean, it's not like it's frustrating or anything to put together, it's just one of those things where it's frustrating to do live. We should be faster now. Hook it around a finger just because. Just reach up there. Get it hooked around the pin. And just pull it up so that way it's like that. Take your ideally, you don't want to put the knots where I just did, so I'm just kind of gonna... It's not really a huge deal. Ideally, I guess... Just kind of rotate this a bit. So ideally, the knot should be on, like, this side of the pin, so they should be, like, more towards this side. Just because you do, like, they really aren't going to affect operation, but I'm perfectionist here. Let's go ahead and do that. Pull it up there just so you can, stay on. Don't fall off this time. Okay. Yeah, hold a finger on the other pins, that way it doesn't. Just take it, use it as a guide. That's right, get on the pin. On the pin, stay on the pin. Okay, cool. Again, just make sure. Good. Okay. Let's try this again. One more time. That's probably the smart way to do it. Push this bit onto the pin first. Yeah, so push this onto the pin first, then slide it on. Be a smart person. Be smarter than Spear. So, okay, so we got one side on. That side's not coming off. Just hold your finger over it so it doesn't pull the elastic off. Take the other side, and there. Now this one, you kind of have to line up like that, but there you go. Just slide it on like that, and you're good to go. So now you have the elastic on everything. That is all of the elastic at this point. Cool. So yeah, and then you just go through and do the reverse of all the steps before for reassembling everything. I mean, admittedly, you should put the elastic on while you're assembling it, and I'm just doing this because I forgot to measure it when I was doing that, so yeah. Best of luck with my incredibly crappy instructions and video editing skills. One more thing here, because I seem to always forget, is again, before you put this piece on, you need to put this piece on. And just kind of angle it, get on there, slide it forward. Now you can put that piece on. And that'll just kind of hang around there for a while. Now you can get to reassembling it, which I suppose I could just like go through and do it like time lapse or something, but yeah, maybe I'll do that. Okay, cool. So hopefully that helps with some of this. Yeah, best of luck to anybody who's assembling this. I'll eventually get instructions made at some point. But yeah, that should be hopefully helpful, especially with the elastic.